At least 15 crore rupees of cash allegedly found stashed away in a sitting High Court judge's residence in Delhi. Not in a locker, not in an account, in cold, hard, untraceable cash. Hidden, hoarded, and burning. The very symbol of justice in this country is engulfed in flames, quite literally, and I don't know what the courts are doing. I just don't know what the judiciary is doing. It's so worrying, the way the judiciary has been acting. And if not for an accidental fire, this money would probably remain forever, forever undiscovered. And if this doesn't shake the very foundation of our judiciary, what will? This is not just a scam, a scandal. It is an indictment of the system itself. But the judiciary is in denial. And that's the problem with the judiciary, a system where judges appoint judges, judges investigate judges, judges praise judges, and judges knowingly or unknowingly protect judges as well. No oversight allowed, no transparency allowed, no checks allowed. All in-house. And when the House of Justice Jashwant Verma went up in flames in the heart of the national capital, when allegedly the embers of the burning currency filled the air, and the rot and the stench was smelt by all, what did this judicial system do? What did the system do? Did it call for an independent probe? No. Did it hand the case over to an external investigative body as it should have? No. Did it demand an immediate resignation at least? No. Instead, and that's what shocks me, the Chief Justice of India merely formed a 3-member in-house committee, initially tried to do a transfer, and then all hell broke loose and pressure built. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, instead of handing over this case to the ED or the CBI or any external body to investigate an honorable judge accused of massive financial misconduct, the Chief Justice of India merely formed an in-house, underline the words, in-house 3-member committee, all in-house. What does this tell you about the state of our judiciary? Let's not mince words tonight. As I began by saying that had it not been for the media, nobody would have known about it. This is a moment of reckoning, not just for one judge, not just for one case, but for the entire system that shields, protects, and knowingly or unknowingly perpetuates judicial misconduct and allows judicial corruption. I have a simple question tonight. Is there judicial corruption? Are there corrupt judges? Who in the world will say no? Everyone knows there is. What has the system done to end it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Where is the accountability? Where is the transparency that the courts demand of every Indian citizen? Nowhere. Because in this country, when a judge is caught in an alleged corruption scandal, judges investigate judges. Judges investigating judges. Do you think a sitting judge will ever be held criminally liable under the system? No. Because let me tell you what happens when an in-house judicial panel takes over. Nothing. At most, a recommendation to resign. At worst, swept under the carpet. The system where the judiciary holds itself above every other pillar of democracy and lectures everyone, including the media, legislature, executive, everyone. What do they do about the rot within? Nothing. Effectively nothing. Who gave them this power? Certainly not the Constitution, not the people of India. The framework of our Constitution never meant for a closed-door group to decide the fate of our courts and our entire system. The power to appoint judges was meant to be a consultative process. But what did the judiciary do? It rewrote the rules. It handed itself the exclusive right to choose, to appoint and protect its own. Why? Why such an opaque system? We live in a transparent world. My lords, artificial intelligence, tech capabilities, algorithms, advanced thinking, exposure, and openness. Openness. The courts must be open. Let the fresh air in. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And when the parliament, elected representatives of 1.4 billion Indians, passed a law to fix the problem, to create an independent, structured, transparent system through the National Judicial Appointments Commission or the NJAC, what happened? 5 judges struck it down. They said, nothing doing. The NJAC was passed unanimously through an executive legislative process by both houses of parliament, by over 50% of state legislatures all over India. It had the mandate of the people of India. It was a reform designed to bring balance. Judicial primacy was still there, but not absolute control. And yet, 5 judges overruled the will of over 1 billion Indians. Why? Was it right? The moment you introduce independent scrutiny, the moment you end judicial autocracy, the moment you allow external oversight, the moment you demand accountability, the moment you end judicial autocracy, the system fears exposure. Then pesky journalists, channels, reporters, media houses, people of India will start asking questions, and the judiciary does not want that. It fears that cases like Justice Verma's will no longer be hushed up behind closed doors. Tell me, had this fire not happened, had we not made a big deal about it, would you ever have known? You know about judicial corruption, you know about Tariq pe Tariq, you have heard stories. But have you ever heard a story when a case of judicial corruption is taken to its logical conclusion and exposed like we expose corrupt bureaucrats and politicians? Would we ever have known about the alleged 15 crores? No. We can discuss corruption in the media, we can discuss Neera Dadia, we can discuss the corrupt journalists who talk with Neera Dadia in those cases in hush-hush tones. But would you ever have known that a judge with a tainted financial past made it to the bench? Would you ever have known that the collegium failed to properly vet him? No, because the collegium doesn't answer to anyone. It appoints, it elevates, it protects, and it condemns. If you ask too many questions, they'll say contempt of court. But the world is changing. What will we leave for our younger generations in this country? We will be the third, maybe second largest economy in the world. We live in a world of technological changes, openness, transparency, lack of hierarchy, sharing of information. But is that the way our judicial system is operating? You see, I am told that a former Chief Justice goes around saying that I brought in transparency by bringing the internet. You do not bring in transparency by introducing the internet. The internet exists. You do not bring in transparency simply by plugging the proceedings of a court on YouTube and letting the people watch select hearings. You have to bring in real transparency. What is being suggested is not how a democracy functions. In no other country, by the way, does the judiciary, ladies and gentlemen, operate without some high levels of scrutiny. I can tell you so many examples, ladies and gentlemen. United States, for example, the Supreme Court justices go through a rigorous Senate confirmation. In the United Kingdom, judicial appointments involve a transparent commission. But in India, judges appoint themselves, judges investigate themselves, judges hold themselves above scrutiny, and when corruption is exposed, a 3-member committee is formed. When the country is angry, when bar associations are going into boycott mode, we are told, well, things will be in India the way they always have been. And I have a problem with that. I'm sure you do as well. Now, let me ask a very fundamental and basic question tonight. Do I believe that there was an attempt at a cover-up about the fire in the judge's house where sacks of cash were found? At the risk of sticking my neck out, let me say I am convinced, like almost 99.9% of Indians are convinced, that there was an attempt at a cover-up. Was the cover-up made impossible by the pesky but irreplaceable media of this country? Yes. Are people aware? Yes. And has something which has been buried for a long time, the need for reform of the judiciary, the judicial process, and the collegium system, has that come in the forefront? It has. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody is above reform. And I must say this, my lords, the judiciary is not above reform. Judicial independence does not mean judicial impunity and cannot mean judicial autocracy. And we say it here. What I'm saying today is something only Republic can say. The corporate media cannot talk about the things I talk about, only Republic can, so we will. Judicial independence does not mean that the courts of the country should operate in complete secrecy, and the time has come to demand what should already exist, the NJAC. The NJAC was not an attack on the judiciary, it was a safeguard for justice. It was a system where the judiciary still had a say, but not the final and only word, where the executive, legislature, and judiciary worked together to ensure that only those of integrity made it to the bench. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this case is not about one judge. This is about the entire structure of this country that allows judicial corruption to go unchecked. And if you believe there is judicial corruption, you have a responsibility to raise your voice. You must raise your voice tonight. Lose your fear, ladies and gentlemen. Lose your fear. This is about a system that punishes the corrupt only when they get caught, but does nothing to prevent it in the first place. So I ask again, if not serious judicial reform, then what? If judges, when held guilty for corruption, are only to be judged by their own, will the country believe this system works? If not reform, then what? If not accountability, ladies and gentlemen, then what? Because this is not where the story ends. This is not where the story will end. Mark my words tonight. And share this video with everyone. You are all affected by a judiciary if there is a problem within the judiciary. Therefore, we must all say, we must raise our voice. This is not where the story will end. This is where it will begin.